Alright, this is our cart welding project. It is Sunday, December 29th, 2024. So I had some thoughts and I laid it out in CAD a bit and did some, that's the main, and this is going to be a slidable tongue, bidirectional sliding tongue, and it's the 4-foot by 29-inch top. So let's see what this might look like. So my thought is to use this telescope. This is probably too small, but this is inch, so this is 1.25 inches. So if this was the inside, 1.5 inches was the outside. I guess the next level up, 1.5 inch, 1-inch telescoping. So it's adjustable. And then this is 1.5 inch tubing, but I'd make it out of this, but this is just the right piece and it's a tube. So this is about the right length, 4 foot, and the axle would be about here, 1.5 feet from the back. Now there's 6 inches is where the top of the cart would be, the platform, and then the platform would be about here. So if this is my where I put the pin, right, this latches in, this would be about 4 foot from, let me get a, so this is going to be about, it gets a little bit bigger, it's not quite the right size, but it's going to be about 3.5, 4 foot where the pin hitch is in this position. If I push the pin, the tongue all the way in, you can see it extends out the back now about 6 inches. And this is going to be where the cart is, the top of the cart, so then I could attach another piece of equipment here. This will have a hole in it, right? And then I can push it back in under normal motion, and that would put the tongue about where I want it. And then if I wanted to put some 14-foot boards in, I can pull this out so it's about 7 foot from the axle out to where the pin hitch is. And then when I don't need it, or some variable length, I will push it back into normal. That's normal. And if I want to use it to pull a tandem, then I can stick it out the back and attach something else. And I'm going to make it out of this. That's my current thought. Alright, so this is 1/2 inch rod. I need 5/8 rod, but that's what I had. And I need a wheelbase of 29. So that's about right. That's about how wide my wheels are going to be. So now I have to ponder how I would attach it to 1.5 inches of this type of material, and then put some supports of some sort, and then how to build the platform, a 4 foot by 39-inch platform on top to support that. Alright, so this isn't the exact size of what the top's going to be. Obviously it's not going to be out of cardboard, but just to get an idea of how I'm going to build the superstructure, if you will, for this. One of the things I didn't want bolts sticking up in the middle here, because then wood and shovels and rakes get hung up on them. So I'm thinking what I'd like to do is make a metal frame and put the bolts on the outside to hold the plywood, 3/4 plywood, to the frame, and I wouldn't have any bolts in here, although I'd have like metal angle underneath for support for the plywood, but the attachment points would just be along the edge with bolts, but it'd support the weight there. So looking at it this way, putting the weight all in the middle bar in the middle of a 30-inch axle, that's just going to bow that. So the weight really has to be brought right next to the wheels. So the supports have to come from there, and I'll need to put like a metal tube or angle or something to take the weight from the middle tube to there, and then the weight should apply to the axle right next to the wheels. So I'll need some type of vertical pieces right next to the wheel. I was first thinking if like there's a metal piece this way and then put an angle to here, but that's like way too shallow of an angle for structural. Like there's days that things slip and fall, I don't intentionally, but heavy logs get dropped on this thing, at least my other one, and I don't know that that's a good, you know, a vertical post would be much better than a very shallow angle post for taking a shock load from stuff dumping on it. And that being said, you know, things get dropped on it, but I don't necessarily hit things with this, but you know, when you've got a big log and you're shoving it and pushing it, there's definitely a lot of side force and torquing force, so it's got to take a lot of side motion and twisting. So maybe a vertical post and then an angle on both sides connecting to the top frame to give it support this way and this way. This loading would be by vertical pieces here and in the middle and the back. So weight in the z-axis will be by supports, vertical support here and a vertical support right by the wheel up on both sides and in the back. And then if we're gets pushed sideways, I think the angles here and in back will take side loading, and then pushing front to back, let's think about that. It almost seems for front and back translation, probably there's a vertical here, and probably put an angle like this to give it stability in that direction. Alright, rotating this way, I think these angles this way will take care of angle rotation this way, angle rotation this way, let's think. The only thing I can think of is that I have a vertical by each wheel, so if that's trying to rotate that way, that'd be the only thing I have now that really addresses that direction. And then how about pitch? Yeah, I think the vertical here and the vertical in the back will address the pitch. That gives it support. So at the back end, same thing. I think a vertical and an angle takes the weight, and that will take forward motion, and then an angle up this way will take side and rotational. And this vertical also does the pitch as well as that. Alright, December 30th, Monday, 2024. So this is about the size of the top. And this is what the underneath is going to be. I have these sections out here because what I want to do is I want to bolt the plywood, 3/4 plywood on the ends. Currently the one I have bolted in the middle, so when the shovel or boards, whatever, they get stuck underneath the bolt heads because they raise above. So I want to put things on the outside here, so I'm attaching the board on the outside. You can see this is about where the top board is, and that the bottom piece is about 6 inches in from the edge of that, so I don't kick it with my foot, but we need it there for a special purpose. So this is kind of the plan, was that the majority of the weight's going to go those vertical pieces right next to the axles. There'll be some like tube or square tube for the axle to be in. We got these for torquing it this way, and then this will take force down, and then we have this so it doesn't rock, it doesn't twist, rotate that way. Yeah, so you know, I have to finish that side, but I guess it's, yeah, I'm just thinking as I go along. You know, so that's like using solid, square, not tubing, whatever it is, but I'm going to be using angle, right? So now the question is, you know, how do I make all these joints here? Like how do I put a piece of angle in here, and then how do I attach angle on this side, and then when I get to something like this, maybe I'll have to use a piece of sheet, because I don't know how I would weld all that angle in there. So that's kind of the thing that I'm not familiar with, because haven't used angle. I've used square wood. After I got all this way and pondering, what I'm almost thinking is that there might be two levels. Like maybe that will be a long run that way, and then maybe on top, say I need to be like this. Maybe I could notch it so it sits down a little bit and locks in, but anyways I need, then I put a long piece, and then I don't have to cut all these short pieces and do all this welding, which, given my skills, are probably not going to be the strongest welds to be doing, so maybe it'll be a crisscross two level, and I want to cut all these little pieces, at least for the top. Alright. It is Tuesday, December 31st, 2024, last day of 2024. So after further review of the play on the field, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I need angle support here and here, because it doesn't take too much. I can push and this thing shifts this way. So I think I need supports there, and instead of a straight one, I think I'm going to put X of some form or fashion in here. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I think to keep this whole thing square, which isn't as much of an issue because I'm going to have the plywood bolted on the top, which is a plate, and that will keep it from twisting this way too much, but I think I do need these. And I watched some videos about how to do different joints and stuff, and I realized that I should practice a lot to figure out how to do these joints, but then I would have to, once I'm happy with how to do all my joints, then I'd have to go back and buy new material and make a perfect thing. So maybe this is going to be a practice project, and hopefully it works in the end. So I think I'm going to buy some 1-inch angle. I think for stuff like this I might do some plate and some flat, I'm thinking too. So I think what I'm going to do is buy some and just start practicing on different joints, putting things together and do different joints different ways to see what works. Yeah. And in the end, I'll probably have a different technique for every joint on this thing, but it'll be together. Maybe it'll hold, but that's what I'm thinking.